The mind doesn't care if you play the joke. The mind does not take any jokes. It doesn't have any humor. It literally takes literally. So when you are like that, it's a command. It's a command to your...
It's like the mind doesn't understand negativity, like negative.
Exactly.
Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm joined with someone who knows exactly what it takes to thrive in high-pressure industries without burning out. Noy is a speaker, best-selling author, and peak performance coach for media professionals with nearly 2 decades in media as a sports journalist and years of coaching clients across more than 20 countries. He's helped leaders unlock their potential fast without second-guessing themselves. Also, a 2-time master's graduate with a winner of the Hurt Locker business competition, known for bringing both playful energy and proven strategies to the people he works with. So what we're hoping to do today is dive into the habits that fuel real performance and the hidden costs of burnout and how to create systems that keep you sharp for the long game. So anyway, here's Noy. This is Kirk, and this is Vibe Your Vibe. So I'm hoping to find out what's driving Noy and a little bit about his why and how he got to where he's at. I mean, he's had a tremendous career, it looks like, and now he's predominantly a coach, if I'm not mistaken, and helping people to achieve their peak performance levels.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm glad to meet you. And it was so exciting that you just happened to reach out. I am just in podcast mode today. I'm doing 3 podcasts today.
I can tell you're on fire. You're on fire.
Yeah, one in person, which was awesome, and I got 2 that were remote, who actually are both in New Zealand. Are you in New Zealand now?
I am indeed.
Yeah,
I am
so
indeed
the other
in New
person's
Zealand.
in New Zealand that I'm meeting with later today. Yeah, so super excited, and you're both are very, very much complement each other. So he's about unmasking and trying to get to your true self. I don't know if you do any of that, but definitely I'm guessing that might have a little bit to play into how you're helping people. Your focus is media professionals. Is that correct? In front of a cameras, or is it also audio?
It's both. It's both. The people in front of the camera. It's also the people behind the camera. So I come from a journalism background, right?
So it's all a media.
It's all a media. So it's the writers, which could be, we say media. It could include a lot of people, including modeling, including the writing profession, including sound people, including photographers, videographers. So it's not just camera facing, but it's also camera facing. So it's also actors, people that are more in the limelight, let's say.
Because it's high pressure, right? You're having to perform.
It's high pressure, even if you don't talk, right? You'd think, I can hide behind a camera. But then, you have the boss, you have deadlines, you have colleagues. So even if you are an extreme introvert, like a lot of those people are, in fact, even those in front of the camera will admit they're extreme introverts, like, go
really?
and interview. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting.
They've trained themselves to be on the set, like, right? And sometimes it takes extra energy from people, and they still have a good career. Then they like when they chill in their own time after that to wind down by themselves. They don't want to stick to anyone.
Kind of loners in a way, or maybe hibernate. Might be another way to put, nicer way to put it. Like to hibernate in their room, the room that they like to kind of, their Zen room, if you will.
Yes. It's like they wear a different identity. Like they wear a different identity, like when they're in front of the camera,
on camera,
right? Or when they're at work.
That's got to be really tough, right? Because you see these people out in public and you think you know them, and the reality is you may not know them at all because they're a whole different persona when they're on camera. Is that another challenge that they have? Like, they're out in public and people think, I know you, but they really don't know them at all.
Yes. And also it's, those are the camera facing, especially. Like, I've worked with a few actors. What I hear a lot is, you come and do an audition, the casting director or the person in front of you there when you do audition, they don't care if your life is messed up. Like, I'm saying it with love, right? Like how I hear that from people. Like, the casting director there doesn't care if your life messed up, if your dog has died, or if your wife is about to leave you, like all of that kind of stuff, right? Like, they only care about what's in front of them. And so if you let those noises, I'm not saying you shouldn't grieve or feel the emotion, but there's certain people that are more, let's say, prone to like be given by their emotions, and then that can cost them opportunities, right? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, that's what you call performance, to be able to not compartmentalize, but sometime to put it to one side and be able to perform at your best. But
Perform.
that could be the same if you're in sports, like if you're playing on the field, like basketball,
100%.
football, could be any job.
Professional sports athletes. I mean, you saw it with Tiger Woods, right? He was in his own head quite a few years after his relationship challenges.
Yeah, so you
word it
can't
as
fully
nicely as I can.
compartmentalize.
Because I would not wish that on anybody, to be honest. That's got to be horrible.
Yeah, you can't fully, compartmentalize. Like as much as people want and try, and it's like, oh, there's home life and there's work. Doesn't really work like that. Like it doesn't really.
Actually, it transfers to almost anybody, right? I mean, I remember when my dad passed away, I was just a mess for like almost an entire year. Just couldn't perform. Not like I should.
It's rough.
Or I guess, I don't know if I want to say should, but not what I was used to.
It's rough. And I've lost 2 clients for illness. Because some of my clients are younger, some of them, but look, that sort of thing can happen. Sadly, like at any time, they were in their 50s and 60s, still pretty young.
Oh, that's young.
Right? And
you're hitting pretty close home with me.
Yeah, no, not doing it to scare you off or anything like that. I'm just saying, I was shocked.
But I mean, I get it. Yeah, that's amazing. It's a young age.
Happened,
in 2025, in your 50s is actually young.
Yeah, and the first one that happened, I was like, did I cry? Oh, absolutely. Like, it was got nothing to do with me. Like one died of a stroke, like at the age of 54. That was a shock. Like all of a sudden,
right.
we were just on the session a couple of days before. And so that hit me pretty bad.
Oh, wow.
Like, especially the first one.
Like 2 days before and then they have a stroke and then that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I heard from my husband over messages and I was like, stuff like that happens, right? If you have a long career, you will have people, so to speak, die on you. And even in 4 years, I've had 2 people sadly pass. Right. I'm very lucky to be surrounded. That's part of the thing that I've done. I always tell people, your environment, like it's such key, even though I do not know those people, like who you surround yourself with, right? Like there is this saying, you become the average of the 5 people you hang out most with, right? Like friends and family and, colleagues and you cannot sack everyone. Like you cannot maybe sack your mother or, I mean, some people think they can, right? But like there's certain choices that you make. So I'm lucky enough that I put myself in environments with supporting people that I can fall back on sometime, even if it's for a rant, right? Or to share, like after I had these 2 clients passing a year apart, by the way, not at the same time. But I think my older me, 5 years before that, maybe even 10 years before that, definitely when I was younger, I'm 40. I would maybe not even go out of the house. Maybe 20 years before, I don't know where. I think that would have knocked me. And this is not even a person that I met. There were 2 people I met online and they were clients, but we were close. I know some of my people's children's name and pets' names and husbands and wives, and so we get pretty close.
Right. Well, I guess so. I mean, what's the typical amount of time that you work with somebody? Is it ongoing or is it, 90 days and we're done, or how does that work?
Mostly ongoing. Most of my people stay for quite a while. So I'm blessed to have a group of people. Like, for example, currently I have one lady who's been with me on and off, mostly on. I think aside from 6 months, she's been since April 22 and now we are September. Okay. So that's 3.5. So 3 out of the last 3.5 years, she's been with me. And I have a few clients that are getting closer to that, or a year and a half
really
or 2.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I got to see like over time where they started and where they are now, and the bumps on the road.
Obviously they're seeing good results or they wouldn't be sticking with you that long.
I'd like to hope so, right? Like, people don't like their time wasted, right? Like you don't like if someone wasting your time, in a rude way or intentionally wasting your time.
Or even unintentionally wasting your time. I mean, maybe you have a coach and you felt like you've gone as far as you can with that particular coach and you're not seeing where it's going to maybe progress even further than where you are right now. I mean, I've had multiple coaches in the past and I can definitely say I was a better person for having worked with them. And I just had an interaction with a coach I had probably back in 2010. So she's kind of shifted. She's doing things a little bit different right now. And I happened to reconnect with her on LinkedIn. I remember talking to her and I'm like, I just don't understand why this group of people that I was trying to get to become a customer of mine, how they're not interested. And she's like, well, they're not your customer. They're not even your prospect. And
right.
It really took me a while to understand that, right? I don't know if you've experienced this. I mean, you reach out to somebody and they just, whatever reason, they don't understand you, Noy, and they're not willing to engage with you. And that's okay. And that's, she taught me to learn. That's fine. That particular person, either A, they're not ready for it, they don't understand it, or whatever. It's not a negative reflection on you, and it's not really even a negative reflection on them. It's just that's not the right person.
That's
could
right.
be timing, could be anything, could be their level of understanding of what they actually need, but they don't yet understand that they need it, and it's not up to you to try to convince them. And she's like, "Wow, you still remember that?" I'm like, "Yeah,
that's right." And that could also
really
be with clients.
She was so happy that made her day. She said.
Nice.
As a coach, 15 years later, hearing from one of the people that was your client, still regurgitating back to you some of the training that you provided them and got them to kind of change their mind and how they looked upon things.
That's what it's all about, right? And what you just mentioned, it's also true for clients, because sometimes you try a certain approach and something might not stick, and that's okay. A lot of it, there's no cookie cutter solution to this is the framework and this is how it's done with 100% of people. No, it doesn't work like that. And so certain people, quite a fair few techniques, but I don't want to get too technical, but let's say, for example, hypnosis, which is one of the things I use, right? And so some people...
And do you do it? Yeah. Do you do it online?
I do it online too, right? Look at my finger.
Really? That's kind of interesting.
Your viewers will fall asleep if you fall asleep, right? And so there's the authoritarian approach, you need to be kind of the military, close your eyes now. So some people need that approach, and some people need a more flowery, guided, kind of slow talk, maybe more picturesque description. But yes, some people, if you try to do that,
one of the things I was reading, you like to do it with stories.
Yes, certainly. So always put a lot of stories, whether it's hypnosis or whether it's some of the events that I do. I try to include heaps of stories, whether it's about me or metaphors or anything like that, because they open the people's mind. It's I'm sure not a lot of people analyze it to that level, but when you share a metaphor, and people make the connection, that opens their mind to looking at something differently because if you want to tell someone, hey, don't do that like this, but it's not the best way to communicate. Instead, if you tell them a metaphor, which some people might say, just tell it straight. But again, that's why it's not a cookie cutter between some people. You should potentially tell them hey, don't do that like that, right? Because they're the same people that potentially the authoritarian approach in hypnosis will fit more. Right? It's more direct to the point, hey, you are giving them the command. Whereas other people, if you are telling them that, they will shut off. And so their mind, you lost them. They might also think you're a jerk, but
your eyes just kind of glaze over and you lose it. So I'm really curious because you just mentioned something that I always thought about when I was, tried to my best when I was talking to my kids. For example, we were getting ready to go on the rock and roller coaster, and for whatever reason, one of my kids had my hat, my cap, and it was incredibly special to me. It was somewhat special because I'm a fly fisherman. I don't know if you do any of that over there in New Zealand, but it was made by Sims, and they made a certain kind of hat, and they stopped making it. They make it again now, but at the time they had stopped making it, and I couldn't go buy a new one if they lost it. And so I thought to myself, and I've heard this somewhere, so I'm really curious your thought on this. I didn't tell them the typical parental command to a child giving them something is don't lose it. I remember clearly telling them, please bring back my hat to me. And the difference is, I'm curious to your response to this, is that the mind sometimes doesn't process negatives very well. And so don't lose my hat actually translates in the mind of the child is lose my hat. So you're subconsciously telling them to go lose your hat. And so a lot of parents get shocked like, oh my, I told them not to lose it. And then they go off and they lose it anyway. Well, it was my understanding that you actually told them to go lose it because they can't process that N''T when you're talking to them. Is there any truth to that? I'm curious on your perspective.
100%. 100%. You hit the nail on the head, Kirk. It's exactly like that. It's, I could not have put it any better. The unconscious mind, the mind basically filters out. Now, this is not the children. This is everyone, although children might be more, children might show it more, that sort of behavior more in the open, and even if you tell an adult, whether it's a colleague, a boss, your spouse, that, everyone's mind works that, the mind, exactly as you said, does not process negative. So it's almost like the buzzer in America's Got Talent, like, and it's also in what we say to ourselves. So if we say to ourselves, not even if we voice it, even just in our head. Yeah, self-talk, exactly. If we say, I'm sick of this, like, I don't want to worry about money, I don't want to be stressed, what we actually saying is, I want, because the mind goes, I don't, want worry about money. I don't, want to, so it erases the don't. So this is like an ever-pervasive thing. It's so true. I love that you mentioned that. I was giggling here because it's 100% true, but not just for children, for everyone.
For everyone.
For everyone. Not everyone will show it as publicly as a child responding, and some would, but some people will do it very,
and then we wonder why we do all these things.
Yes,
because our language, even to ourselves, I guess that self-talk is really strong.
Self-talk is huge. It's, how we talk to ourselves is, it's everything, because we have this loop. And we are just caught in that loop. And then, like, some people have the same loop going for years and decades. If you know anybody that is stuck in some area in their life for many, many years,
I know somebody
whether they admit it or not, they're just probably talking to themselves. Yeah.
They're stuck is nobody takes me serious. That's what they've outwardly said to me. I mean, I wonder what they're saying internally too. And I wonder if it's a matter of, if you say that to yourself, like, are you familiar with, I just read a thing about, I think it's called the scar study.
Not familiar with that, but tell me more.
They put a scar on somebody's face and they tell them that they have this scar. And before they leave, they go and get made up. And as part of the made up process, they remove the scar, but they don't know that the scar has been removed. And then they go interact with people and say, how did those people treat you? And the majority of people that go out, because they were shown the scar, wasn't told that the scar went away, had some sort of level of perception that, oh yeah, people really ignored me, or they didn't treat me nice because they saw this horrendous scar on my face.
Yeah, the mind doesn't know what's real and what's imagined, right? We can get into so many rabbit holes here, like how placebo works in certain studies, right? It's fascinating. But the upside of this is you could play a legitimate trick on your mind when it comes to the images you send, because everything in life, you may have heard that before, or some of your viewers have heard that before, but I think it's such a good point. Everything in life is like you have or you don't have because of the pictures that you run in your head. Because it's like, imagine every object picture on the wall behind me, which is a famous lake here in New Zealand, right? In the South Island. Let's make up something. If someone by this lake, when they were young and they saw something horrible, like they saw a man drowning in that lake, right? Like if they see that picture again, that could send them into trauma. Right? Because they have a memory of like, oh my God, like I will never forget that I saw a man like,
or like, even a smell, right?
Yeah. Like it would come, they would be able to like smell and taste like maybe the water, and they're alive. It wasn't them, but they saw it. So post-trauma, trauma.
It feels real.
That happened. Yeah. It feels
it's
playing
it's
out.
Happening now for them.
Yeah.
It's not like a movie projector. They're not watching a movie projector. No. It's like, this is really happening. Am I right?
Yeah,
or
exactly. But it's not just like a picture, or if I say a word that triggers someone, because any word can trigger anybody if there's a negative context for them. People have images in their mind of the spouse, of the children, of the bosses, of their finances, or of like their friends. And of course the image can change over time, and it would, right? But when the image is distorted, your mind only sees a person in a certain perception. And so, right, that's why you could have two people listening to a third person in the room. The third person finish speaking whatever they said, leaves the room. The two people turn to them and they say, Susan, I really like David. He's a really great guy. I'm really glad that he's joining the team. And then like, Margaret, are you kidding? He's vile. I can't stand him. And David said the same sentence. And so what's the difference? What's reality? I know it sounds very philosophical, right? The only difference is something in David. It could be maybe his stubble or his hair or his glasses or whatever triggered that lady, but it's called perception is projection.
He wore the same cologne as somebody they didn't like.
Yeah, it could be anything like that. And the mirror neurons, they go, danger. And then that means that they already don't like. Now, there is no David that they don't like in this example. It's just their mind playing tricks on them. So like the other person has a completely different image of man or David or whatever that is. But we run those pictures all the time. Like, as you know, how many times people think about like they're usually the negative ones, how much they don't like to do something or how much they are short on cash or all of those things. And when you run those again and again and again, that becomes your reality more and more and more.
Your truth, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. What does that feel like working with you? Are you like a guide, guiding them through? Like, do people like talk to you about, oh, this is what happened to me this week, and then you kind of help guide them through that, and then maybe even have a scenario like you just presented, right? There was this guy David, he was in the room, so and so just loved him, and I just couldn't stand him. I didn't want to be around him another second, and then you would like try to help create a true sense of reality of what maybe that was, because I know you weren't there, but when they tell you that this other person thought they were pretty awesome and they liked them, that kind of gives you something to work on. I don't know. I'm just curious.
That's a good question. So sometimes it's like that, right? Sometimes people come to me with what happened in the week. Look, this happened and I was triggered by my mother or by my children or by the whole world or whatever that is. Like, and sometimes they can have a great week, but like there was this thing that happened. Other times, there are times that we're doing more strategy. When I say strategy, is someone might be looking for like, hey, I'm a bit stuck. I'm trying to raise funding for a feature film, but like I keep getting this thought like, nobody in this region wants to work with me. People don't get me, all that kind of stuff. And so then that highlights the potential limiting beliefs that are running the show. Yes, you could move to a different state. You could move to a different country. You could call your film a different title, and it may work, but it doesn't. All of those things are like patches. They don't really fix the underlying problem. When someone is lacking confidence or confused or lacking clarity, you know what I mean?
For my own self, I'm looking at possibly moving from where I'm at right now. There are some valid reasons why I'm looking to do that, looking to move to an extremely less expensive area. So financially, it's substantially less, not just a little bit. You're not going to move to save $1,000 a month, but if you can live and cut your living cost by 50% or more, pretty substantial. And I know my daughter and her husband moved from Miami to San Francisco for that exact reason. Their jobs increased by twofold, and their rent actually went down, if you can believe it. From Miami. That was part of the drive. The Miami rents were going up. This is a time that people are kind of moving out of San Francisco. They went to San Francisco and they were actually able to lower the rent and double their income. I think it's a pretty valid reason to move. But yet there's other people that just feel like my life's going nowhere here in South Florida. I need to get out. I need to go to another state. And I think that's more like what you're talking about, where there's not any really specific example on, like, if you ask them why, I can at least communicate to you, well, I'm going to be able to cut my living expenses by 50%. And then my car insurance is going to go down. Everything's going to go down. And my income level is going to stay pretty solid where it is from Florida to wherever. So, at least I'm able to come at you with something that seems a little logical. But I'm sure you've probably heard, like the example you gave, where, oh, well, I just need to go to this other state because people aren't paying attention to me. I can't get any clients in as an example, I can't get any clients in South Florida. Like if I was to come to you, Noy, I gotta move to another state because I can't get any clients in South Florida. It's just not working for me.
You may have heard someone saying that before, but people really decide with emotion and then justify it with logic. All the reasons, so people feel that emotion, but don't always admit it, and that could be both male and females. Right? We would decide emotionally, even if we say, no, there was an emotion. I'm not an emotional person. There's still emotion in it, but then we justify with logic, because people don't like me here. That kind of in itself highlights some of the limiting beliefs when someone says, oh, life is this, I'm not that. But for your question is, I will find out first, how is this the problem? Like when they're saying, or if they told me, I'm moving, I would just tell them bluntly, tell me more. What's the thought process that led you to deciding on that? That's quite a big move, right? What's the thought process? Now, I am not here to tell people, don't see this person or don't date that. Or
no, that's up to them to decide.
I am not giving them.
You're a guide, right?
Yeah, I'm a guide. Exactly. Right. So coaches are guides. In fact, if you, what
Have
you
you thought
don't
about
want to
this?
do.
Have you thought about that? Is that kind of
Yeah.
like guidish kind of language?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, how is that
You're
a
not gonna. Oh,
problem?
that's
Is a good
absolutely the
question.
right thing that you should do. You should leave that person.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
not something that you would do.
Even when I'm not allowed to tell people, for example, what medical advice to take, or if someone wanted therapy, like from the system, like CBT or stuff like that. I had a lady who was waiting in the queue in the UK, and we did amazing work, and I knew she kind of doesn't need it, but because I'm not allowed, it's illegal for me in every jurisdiction to say, you don't need it anymore, Janet, like, like, you're fine.
You're good.
It's illegal for me to say that. So I said, like, look, I'm not allowed, it's also in my agreement that people read and sign at the start. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not prescribing any medication. I'm not allowed to tell you not to take your pills. You have to see your doctor if you're taking something. This is not a replacement. All of that stuff. And if someone comes to me with this, like I feel, I'm not sure I should, now I'm finally up the queue. Like, should I see him? And I was like, look, I cannot tell you. Like, I would advise that if you were on a path, go and see what they say. Like, right? Cause it's safer to do, and she went there, and this is her going, they did this analysis, and she scored perfect score. And then the therapist turns to her and is like, well, looks like you don't need me. Like, and so now you know what I mean, right? Like, now, if she was the opposite end and she still needed that, then great. Okay. Use that because you were in the queue. You were waiting. Yes, I know it's on the system and free, but people don't do stuff like that just because it is, because they needed it. But 10 months before she would need it. And so, you know what I mean? And if she needed it this time, because stuff can happen out of the blue overnight, and so that will be okay too. The moving thing, I knew of a move to New Zealand 2 years before we moved. So my wife is a Kiwi, she's from New Zealand, and I'm from Israel, and I lived in the UK. So we met in the UK, and so we met and got married there. And then I lived in Manchester and then in London. So I moved to the biggest city, and in compared to where I live now, even Manchester is huge, which is about 100K.
Are you still a United fan?
I am, yeah. That's the 90s where I grew up, Eric Cantona, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham, like the class of 92, as we call them. I used to meet some of them in the supermarket. Like, I used to work at Costco.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to work at Costco selling mobile phones, and Gary Neville would walk in and it was like, hey, Gary, like, and so surreal. But yeah, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. I made that move, and like, I knew I was in what now I know, then I didn't know, my last salary job, I was doing sports writing. I was a feature writer, which was my main thing, because as you can tell, I like to talk. So feature writing, you can write more words, right? Because it's not limited like news, like, 200 words, like a column. And so we knew of that move. We had all the justification. We got tired. Like, London is huge. Everyone doesn't, everyone is kind of cold in compared to smaller places. Like, she lived outside of New Zealand by then 8 years. I lived in England by then 11. Like, okay, let's move. But between deciding and the move, my world has collapsed because my career went like nowhere. I fell into depression, burnout, all those things. That's basically part of my story and why I'm doing what I'm doing. When there was this period, I thought I was saved by moving to New Zealand because I finally resigned from my job. We went traveling a bit, which was planned 5 weeks after we moved to New Zealand in November 2019, which is almost 6 years ago. And this, you see the pattern. Anybody that makes the move, different job, different boyfriend or girlfriend, or what we call rebound or hopping, like sometime in colloquially, any move like that, like you move a town, you move a state, even if you had your reasons, because we had the reasons. We got tired from like England, it's fast paced. Yeah, we had a lovely time. Don't get me wrong. London is amazing, but we kind of had enough. Like we were over it by a certain time. Moved here and it started nice. But then when I moved to business, like straight after, like sooner or later, like less than a year after the move, all the things that I swept under the carpet that I did not deal with that happened, and I thought I'm safe because I resigned and moved country, they came after me. But it took all of those things that I swept under the carpet to come after me, not overnight. I was really happy. I was actually doing well in the business, which was new, digital marketing. It was only around a year, 10 to 12 months after being here, the wheels started coming off. And when they came off, it was far worse than even the first rock bottom. It was another rock bottom. It was 3 years that I had such highs and lows that I would not wish on anyone. Like I literally went from one rock bottom to very high, like at least relatively, to an even worse rock bottom because I did not deal with what's under the carpet, with the demons. And I'm not scaring anybody. Those listening here, I'm not saying you shouldn't move. You will have your reasons. Ours were legit. And if you say, oh, I'm saving on the rent, that could be, you might say, I'm not unhappy here, but I'm also saving half on the rent. It's a legit reason. But right. Yeah, even if you have a legit reasons, it doesn't mean you will not be you will not be beaten in the ass. That sure. Is even if you have legitimate reasons, like you're saving money, you're moving close to your family, like that. Even then, there may be some stuff you haven't dealt with from previous life, so to speak. They'll come after you sooner or later.
I think you definitely hit on something. I mean, I know with my daughter and her husband, it was a really tough decision because I think for them, it was legit, the decision to move. That was sort of the conversation too. Like, is there something else here that's causing us to want to do this? Is there something that we're trying to run from? I'm fairly certain she was having those conversations because it's a big move to go out all the way across the country from Miami to San Francisco. And so you don't want to go there for the wrong reasons, but that might actually prompt somebody to reach out to Noy. He's lived it. He's like, are you running from demons or are you really looking for different opportunities that are legitimate? Yeah. Could be worth reaching out to Noy to help guide you through that process, right?
Yeah, like, look, I've been there and done that, and perfect it wasn't, but learned heaps from that. And so, yeah, I learned how not to do it. I learned how not to do it. Let's
so is the burnout problem part of that? Do you find people that are kind of suffering from burnout, one of the ways that they kind of self-soothe themselves is going, oh, well, this place is not worth it anymore. I needed to go over here because if I go over here, and so they're not really dealing with the whole burnout issue. Do you find that sometimes, or I'm just curious?
Yeah, absolutely. All the time. And don't get me wrong, moving is good. Like, moving is good, and in certain scenarios, it's good. You can go and move, and you have an advantage if you have a coach or a mentor by your side, whether it's me or someone else, then you'll be okay as long as you have someone like you trust and you are following a certain process. By all means, if it makes logical sense, if you save money closer to this person, close to opportunities, do move. What you will find is a lot of the stuff that you were saying about, it's hard to get opportunities here. People don't take me seriously here. Something in the vibe of this neighborhood is not like that. You will find that those things will repeat in certain ways.
Yeah, they don't go away.
Those are the things you want to deal with.
They're not going to leave you. They're going to follow along with you.
Yeah. You can move to, if someone is an actor and I want to be closer to Hollywood. Great. Do that. Right? Okay, I mean, it will have pros and cons, and you should consider all of it absolutely with yourself and your loved ones. Every time we catch ourselves talking life is this, life is that, I am not this, I'm not that, then that's kind of a sign, potentially limiting beliefs, things that are playing in the background, and those they're likely to stay there because it's not LA has more opportunities than Miami for actors. And so maybe, and potentially
have you really gone to all those castings? Have you really done the outreach that you feel like because if you're not doing it in Miami and you're not putting the work in, you're not going to do it in LA.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I notice also a lot of the time when people procrastinate or overthink things. It just comes from that. It's come from either unhealed trauma or limiting beliefs. Usually come from stuff that you got programmed with in childhood. Right? They got nothing to do with your acting career or being on set or on radio or behind the camera. They got nothing to do with your career even. They got nothing to do with your children, with your spouse. They come from ancient, and healing, I think, more and more becoming something that people need to consider as part of a strategy, as an ongoing strategy, rather than I don't need fixing.
I think one of the things for me, I've been married quite some time. Part of what keeps us together, I think, it's not been easy, especially for her. but the reality is, and I think what's kept us together is we both have 100% agreement with this. Whatever problem that she has with me and whatever problem I have with her, and whatever problems we have with our relationship together, maybe with her and me, it's not quite 50-50. Maybe it's more like 70-30 or 80-30, where 80% is my fault and 20% is her fault. But the bottom line is, when you go to that new relationship, just like you're talking about, you go move to that new city, you're going to bring all that with you.
Yeah.
All that gets brought with you to that new relationship. You're already coming in, to be fair to me, not to her, but let's just say it's 50-50. I'm going to bring 50% of my problems with me, because those 50% of the relationship issues are mine. They have nothing to do with her. Same way with moving from one city to another. I mean, would you say that it's somewhat true?
Yeah, you're just bringing them. I had this image when you were describing that of those people in reality programs, which I used to watch in my younger years. Like they're like, oh, I want someone without baggage. Well, now if I'm thinking of that, like, well, good luck. Good luck, because everyone will bring something. So, but yeah, this is how people might be thinking in their 20s, right? Like later on. Not saying it's not possible, but it's more important. I don't know. It's not really relationship advice, but if anybody listening to this and you are dating, rather than looking for the perfect or like the perfect scenario, I would be more interested in someone who is keen and have the ambition on growing and being better. Not the ambition is in talking like a game, like talking like, right. There's a difference between like talking games, like, oh, sorry, honey, I'll do better. Not that. Like that is the type of person that usually doesn't improve, doesn't really commit to it. They're just saying it because they are trying to control. I'm talking about the person that may not be perfect, but they're working on themselves and they're getting better by 1% each day. Right. Those are the sort of people you want as partners.
I think a lot of it has to do with the attitude. Like I got a tattoo on my arm, in honor of my wife. It's her astrology sign. Some people don't like that. I'm not super into astrology, but it's her sign, so it's representative of her. And a friend of mine says, well, what are you going to do when you get divorced?
Find someone with the same astrological sign.
I was like, well, she was the mother of my children, and she's been part of my life. And I go, there's actually nothing that can change those facts. Those are facts. They can't be changed. And I go, it's part of me. And I don't know, maybe that's why we're still together. It's just that kind of an attitude. Is she's been part of my life. Even if we were only together a few years, it won't change the fact that she's part of my life. So one of the things I guess it's important to help out with is that you've coached across multiple different cultures. I mean, you mentioned, what did you say, 11 years in UK, and now you're like 6 years in New Zealand. I guess that's another big factor, right? Because you've kind of seen a lot of different cultures and people over time.
Definitely it's an advantage, right? Because I can totally choose who I'm working with. Majority of my people are either from New Zealand or from the United States online. That guy was actually, we did half in person, which was great. That's something I want to do more. And I have done some corporate stuff as well, like training a sales team here and stuff like that. I feel like it's a strength. Like if you have a cultural appeal, or wide cultural appeal that you have got accustomed and work with and played part with in teams of any sort with people from all over the world, then you will be more inclined to attract those sort of people. You'll be more open to that, which I think is a blessing. When I say countries and cultures, people from all over the world, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, Vietnam, one guy from Africa, some other countries. Other podcasts I got interviewed in, there was this other podcast that it was the multicultural appeal, telling your story about, where you grew up and what you got from this place and what you got with others. So it's always something I'm super excited and keen to talk about.
As this coach and you're helping with burnout and whatnot, and you work with sales teams and all that, I'm curious, what are some of the questions that you find people are asking? How do people find you, and what is that reason that they're looking for Noy?
Yeah, great question. So they'll find me online, right? Not necessarily through ChatGPT. I wish with ChatGPT, if I can get ChatGPT to recommend me, that I'll always be in demand forever. I will have a huge team, I tell you. The main question there's not just one, but one could be hey, I'm stuck in a rut. I'm having this thing going for 2 years, 5 years, a decade, I don't know how to get out of this. That's like
what kind of
thing.
rut? Like what kind of rut are they in?
That could be like career, kind of more of the same. I'll give you an example.
They're stuck in their career. They haven't moved forward. They feel like they
haven't moved forward in their life. Yeah, they kind of lost the zest for life. I had this lady from the UK, a technical writer. So she, not a doctor, but she writes for, more like technical sort of articles for magazines, a bit more higher end, rather than those weeklies or tabloids. She just used to walk a butt off, like for relatively very little, unstable conditions of living in a place she doesn't like, ultimately, not having much social life. Now in the 50s, double divorce, children are already, grown up, like in their 20s plus. And she had the money and she had the career and she had she had stuff before going on.
Yeah, that doesn't buy contentment, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And she was procrastinating like crazy and chronic fatigue syndrome and whatnot. Like the whole enchilada, a multitude of like things that are not working for her. And so we got working together. We worked together for around just over a year. I have a lot of connections in the UK, having lived there before. So time zone wise, they're like the opposite end of the day, right? So it's actually harder for me to serve people from the UK most of the time, but we've always worked it out for the right people. AM, PM, almost 12 hours apart. With her, what was really good is, she was like, I've done everything. I've done psychoanalysis and psychotherapy and therapy. I was like, okay, all right. I've heard that before, right? So I'm not downplaying. We need those people on the system, psychologists and therapists like that, because frankly, there's a lot of demand, right? So we need that on the system everywhere in the world. And the demand, I think, is just growing, especially with the stuff that is going on these days. What we find the root cause. I help people find the root cause. I ask them a series of questions and we are then able to find the root cause. And when we find the root cause, because the person has already staked something, like whether it's time or money, both typically, right? Back when I started, I used to do a few for free, right? But then it was still a stake for them because they wanted the result. So I wasn't doing it for free and telling them, let's see if it works. I was already convinced it works, right? Like when I started, I was doing a few of those for free, which was a risk for me, but I saw it as an opportunity. They need to have some skin in the game, especially if they don't pay money, especially at the start, almost 4 years ago. She had enough skin in the game. And when you have enough skin in the game, then we just found what the root cause is. When we found the root cause is, we use some techniques to go deeper and allow you to release some of those negative emotions, limited decisions from decades, like literally all her life, stuff that was harboring there for God knows how many years, a long time. And when we did that, it feels a bit weird at the time. I call it the positive void. Like you feel this bubble, you don't feel the negative emotions anymore. You feel nothing. It may sound really weird to describe.
You're not feeling euphoric necessarily. You're not feeling joy, but you don't feel anything negative.
Exactly. And suddenly you find yourself, you don't have like the same voices like that you used to talk yourself down. And sometimes it's really sad. Some people got really used to saying stuff like, don't be stupid, to themselves. Like not to others, to themselves. And so, but the mind doesn't know what's real and what's imagined. So when you're telling a joke on yourself, what a dumbass. When you call yourself that, the mind, he or she is a dumbass. The mind doesn't care if you play the joke. The mind does not take any jokes. It doesn't have any humor. It literally takes literally. So when you are like that, it's a command. It's a command to your...
It's like the mind doesn't understand negativity, like negative...
Exactly.
We're talking about negative language.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand negative language. So you're saying not only does the mind doesn't have negative language, we covered that before, but right now you're saying it doesn't get jokes.
It doesn't get jokes. It doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't have a sense of humor.
My wife, like her favorite saying for that is it doesn't have any like ha. So it has no sense of humor. That's actually quite interesting.
When we got deep like that, then we were able to, because otherwise you can just sit and cry about it all day, which she had for a long time, right? And how she doesn't like the situation, or you can do something about it. A lot of people are trying to do something about it through just by themselves. And I tell you that at best, it will take you a long time, at best. And sometimes I'll be a bit crude here and say, sadly, a lot of the people that try to do it by themselves are no longer with us.
I've lost a friend a couple years ago. So yeah, her demons got to her. She convinced me because I still had all these thoughts like, did I do enough? And it's very difficult when you have somebody call you up and say, I don't want to see another day. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that someone could say, I don't want to see another day. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done. And on top of that, I personally believe the mind is very powerful. Even if they don't do anything to themselves, we're talking even beyond that. If they have those thoughts, sometimes the body just shuts down. The mind will listen to you. I guess in that point, it definitely doesn't have a sense of humor. If you tell yourself over and over and over again, I'm tired, I don't want to see another day, I wonder sometimes if the body listens and says, and I hate to get really morbid on you, but this is going back to why it's so important to have somebody to maybe help you with some of the self-talk, right? And understand how important it is not to have the negative self-talk, because it is powerful. The mind can't distinguish between reality and whatever you're just saying to yourself, whether it's real or not real. There is no distinguishing it. For the mind, it's all real.
6 months of us working together. Yeah, we were just over a year. There was this point that suddenly the chronic fatigue syndrome just lifted. She didn't have that chronic fatigue syndrome.
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah. Not overnight, like, right. But like,
well,
there was
me,
this
6
point.
months is pretty just like that. There wasn't a change in lifestyle. It was a change in thought process.
There was a change of lifestyle, like little things, like, right? Like it all contributed to that, but it all came medication she wasn't on, not that I'm aware of in that particular case. Again, like, you know, if someone is on medication, like I said, they need to obviously consult with their doctor. And then if they say, oh, you are better now, you can get off it, then great. And so it's not a hindrance to us doing something. Yeah. In her case, which I've seen some crazy stuff, Kirk. Like I've seen just for everyone, I am not a healer in the sense of like, come to me, I'll cure your cancer. No, that's illegal. Like I would very cautious with people that advertise that. I don't know about your location, like, but here it's illegal to claim that like you are like curing a disease like that. And so I'm not saying, hey, come to me, I'll cure your chronic fatigue syndrome, I'll cure your psoriasis. So like that's illegal, right? And I cannot guarantee that, but when we do the work and the people, those that were like very committed, it's not uncommon for the conditions, or even if it's like pains like in the neck or back, it's not uncommon for them to be lifted or to reduce from 9 out of 10 intensity to like 2. So sometimes it's not completely gone, but it's becoming different level, much more manageable. Sometimes a whole condition can be just gone. The wildest thing I've heard, which is really wild, was a colleague of mine, when I was studying how to do what I do, did a similar body of work with another lady who had bone marrow cancer, and she had stage 3. I dare to say that this was in 2021. Had it been now and nothing was done, maybe she would not be with us, that lady. Like, you know what I mean? And she done that work, and she had a scan 2 weeks after, and the doctors were shocked. The cancer was not there.
The mind is very powerful. I don't think we really even know the extent to it. It can be that much powerful on the positive.
And this is how those conditions disappear. Not because like you come to someone to wave a magic wand, like, hey, can you cure me of this? No, that doesn't work like that. We don't focus on that. This will be
and you're not going to pretend that that's what you're doing. That's not what you're doing. We're just saying this is a byproduct of getting your mindset straight. That actually has been proven though, right, Noy? You know, being in this burnout and this constant stress, adrenal fatigue. I'm not sure if adrenal fatigue is also,
there's a lot of stuff that also came from, there's a lot of stuff that was become more prevalent since COVID, long COVID and stuff like that. Like, I know it's not necessarily the same.
I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're in a stress burnout situation, I can't quote any, maybe you can. I want to say there's studies out there that'll show you, you know, you have cortisol has risen, you got all these other, you know, neurotransmitters that are all out of whack, and you're just going to be a mess. And you're going to have physical symptoms from it. Part of that is addressing what's causing this burnout situation to start with, right? Trying to take care of these limiting beliefs and all these other things that you work on to at least try to help address out the burnout side of it. You're not claiming you're going to take care of the physiological, but at the same time, it's definitely going to probably help it. I guess there's this fine line that you're allowed to walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let
And
me put words in your mouth or make claims for you.
some people will come to me they will say the thing that is wrong, the burnout, I'm burnout, I'm confused, or they will say that. Some people will come to me.
I don't feel like getting up in the morning and going to work.
Yeah, some people will come with that, and some people will come with the productivities side of it. I'm procrastinating a lot. I'm finding that kind of time just drifts. I'm not effective. My business is not doing that well. While I'm not pretending to, I'm not a business coach as such. I know stuff in business from my own journey and from being around really successful people, right? What I do is I still go and look at the mindset and the limiting beliefs that in itself drives then the sales, because everything is linked, right? When we change the images that one is running in their mind, then the physiology will change. How do I know? Look at someone who is really depressed. What is the posture? Like that. They might be like that and crying, a really simple example, right? I'm not saying someone depressed is always 100% of the day, all day like that, right? But you will see them like that or like this, or a person who is confident and, know their worth and stuff will, in this snapshot, will stand tall. They will be different in the world, right? There'll be a different demeanor. Their voice will sound different. If you get really depressed, and I've been there, you sound defeated. Life is taking a toll on you. It will affect how you sound, how you look, how you dress, all of it, right?
And it also attracts a certain response from people. Am I right?
And keep going to the medical thing you said before. You asked about the research. I don't have the exact quote, seeing the names of the institution or people that did it, but there was this research in Europe, 40,000 people. It's like a case study with CT scans.
That's a big sample.
Yeah, big study. And this is staggering. This might be putting some people with the eyes like that, what I'm saying now. The disease typically shows up 18 to 36 months after the onset of a significant emotional event. I say it again. The disease or the illness or the ailment in the body will typically show up fully only 18 to 36 months after the significant emotional event, like the trauma. It doesn't have to be like a flood or you've seen a murder or anything like that, or someone even passed. For children, it could be like someone told you really sharply, no, you cannot do it. Oh, don't do that. That could be trauma for a 5-year-old. Right. And so this is where it still need to be a bit more research to this. But what they showed in certain conditions, especially the shocking incidents that something happened all of a sudden and you do not have a strategy how to deal with it, and you go and obsess about it, it sends a wrong signal in the body. The brain sends a signal in the body, and it basically sabotages a certain organ on a certain side. This research even go in depth of determining for which side, based on what happens, where the ailment will be, which is wild. I tell you, it's really wild. And also between men and women, which side of the body it will be.
That's amazing.
This
As
is,
I said,
you
the
can
mind
go
is a
and look it up.
powerful
It's called the field of meta medicine. It's a rabbit hole that we will not get to cover on this call, but it's,
right.
A lot of doctors believe in this more and more, but there are parts of it that are remaining a bit woo. Of this body of work, right? So I would say it upfront to all of you. So let's put it, I would say controversial, but not because something wrong, just because it needs more proofs on the side of the metaphorical side. What this really says is when someone repeatedly say stuff like, oh, it's a pain in the neck, or it's hard to swallow, it's hard to digest, stuff like that. Guess where the ailment is likely to happen, where you say it's a pain in the neck. The mind takes it as an order over time. When you put it with emotion, if someone was saying repeatedly with emotion, they saw something really horrible, I cannot see this anymore, I cannot see this anymore, I cannot see this anymore with emotion, there is a good chance they will develop an ailment with their eyes. It's really that wild. Now, it will not happen overnight. And it will look, you either go to the doctor or you have a degenerative state, you have cataract, you have something. I'm not saying it's fatal. Sometimes the ailment could be small. It could be autoimmune, or it could be you need a surgery or stuff like that, right? But the mind has created it. And so that's why it's so important to not go at it alone.
Because it's very difficult to understand fiction from reality. It's helpful to have another human with you that can be a guide or a coach. that can go, oh, well, that probably is real, or I don't know, dude. I don't think so. I think you've got some kind of limiting belief that's made up in your head that's keeping you from achieving what you need to achieve. This isn't even real. You're kind of like, I'll have to send you that scar study thing. Same kind of idea. Oh, people are not treating me very nicely because they think they got a gigantic scar on their face when they don't have any scar on their face, and they're living in a different reality. And I think that's what you're trying to say. Instead of trying to go it alone, it's not that you're so much smarter than the person. You are definitely experienced and you're trained, obviously. But I think the big piece of it, you're another human. It's getting another perspective on things.
And I did say to anybody listening to this, what I said now is not a medical advice either. Okay. You know, like the small print, like, you know, this is not medical advice. Don't go, if you had a thought like that, don't go and take a kidney dialysis, like by yourself, because like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm kind of accentuated it. Yeah. Do go to your physician, to your MD, to your clinic, like to your health professional, right? Yeah. Like,
Noy's been quite
and again, don't make decisions.
Noy's been quite clear. He wants you to continue to see your physician, see your psychiatrist, right? Because the psychiatrist is, I don't know that's what they're called in the US. They're the ones that prescribe the medications. And then I guess if I'm not mistaken, in the United States, they're called a psychologist. Psychologists, I don't think, can prescribe medications. You have to see a psychiatrist. Here in the U.S., a lot of times you'll see both a psychologist and a psychiatrist together, and they work in tandem.
Even with hypnosis, it's certain countries, only a certified doctor can be a hypnotist. Like, so it's like certain countries, it's illegal for me to walk in, like, a scene. If I was established in the country, I cannot do it. It's illegal. Yeah. Cause you need to be a doctor, like a scene, like a medical professional, like certified, which I'm not. So I am on the holistic side, right? I'm a coach on the holistic side.
How do you blend in discipline with what you're doing when people work with you? Is that a big piece of it?
What I call peak performance, which means different things to different people, right? Like the person in the gym, it could be doing more reps, like, right? Like, let's smash it. Like, to some people, peak performance could be just being happy, like with the day to day, or making more money, or whatever that means to you. In order to achieve peak performance, it's absolutely, Kirk, it's an integral part of what I talk about. We do the healing. Peak performance is really takes 5 things, right? Like, and I'll name them here, like,
wow, this is the gold, folks.
Yeah, here you go. If you guys want to write down. If someone wants the formula, here's the formula. Peak performance equals radical responsibility, which means that this is not just the idea. It's just like you already walking the talk that it's not the government that is like causing you to, you know, to lose your business or to lose that. It's not your neighbors. It's not your boss. It's not your wife. It's not your dog. You know, like it's you. Now, not from a point of blame. Just understand, even if you know nothing how to fix it, like how to change it, everything in my life, good, bad, and the ugly, I caused. Like, so that's one way, because we cannot go really far if someone is like, nah, it's the government, they changed the rules, they doubled the tax, it's that, you know, you can ever so much go on this on a tangent for like a bit, but then there are sadly people that are stuck in that mode, like for a long time or for a while, maybe most of their life. And these will be the people that are not achieving what they want. These will be the people that are stuck and not achieving what they want. You definitely don't want to take advice from them.
So you're responsible for your results.
Yeah. So that's number one.
Regardless of your circumstances. Outwardly.
Exactly. Even if bad stuff happened to you, and guess what? Bad stuff does happen. Like, you know, people
live in the real world, to you.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. The world is not fair. Is it?
Yeah, it's not, right? Like, and you may have had horrible, the listeners might say, oh my God, but you don't know my life. No, I had this person abusing me, like physically, sexually when I was 10. Like, I get that. Now, I'm not saying it did not happen. Like, and there's no repercussion for that, like, right? But it's understanding, like, we created the multitude of things in our life, right? And then the other part of it is the healing. So the healing, right? You can do it from Facebook or YouTube. Like, you can watch Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Grant Cardone, and they all have the different vibe, and Cody Sanchez and Gary V and all of that. Some of them swear more, some of them swear less. Some of them are talking really fast like me. Some of them are really gentle and slow, right? But, the fastest way is obviously working with a registered professional, whether it's myself or someone else, or whether it's someone from like the system. The system is great because it's more accessible a lot of times. Like you need to understand that they're also seeing a lot of people, and there's on a lot of systems, like your state and your country, they might be overloaded with certain people. So they cannot give you the same approach like I can or someone else can in the coaching world. In other cases, I want you guys to be clear on that.
I think it's important. I don't know how it works other places. I do know how it works in the United States. They're actually quite regulated. They don't have this open area they can operate. They're pretty.
Yeah. And there will be private and public ones. Yeah.
And so I think that's somewhat so besides the time limitations that they may have based on their caseload, there's also what are they actually able to do? They've kind of got guardrails up. They can only go so far either way.
Exactly. And sometimes there's obviously other approaches. There's 1,000,001 modalities, like they call it, like basically healing ways, like whether it's Reiki or NLP or hypnosis or many, many other things, right? And so like not all of them are born the same. Right. And so you might want to explore something like that we call holistic, like that is outside the system. Like, and also that gives that mentorship touch. So wherever way you go, the healing, even if you went to the system to a psychiatrist, psychologist, that's already a step up if you previously haven't. Right. And so radical responsibility, the healing part, which is releasing negative emotions and limiting decisions. Releasing
and then, negative emotions and decisions.
The third part that constitutes like what constitutes of peak performance, it's your state. Your state is emotional and mental state. Your emotional and mental state, you will learn through your life how to manage and how not to manage your state in certain situations, like under stress, in deadlines, with your boss, with your mother-in-law, with your wife, with your husband, with your kids, right? Like just generally, you cannot really manage your state optimally without the first two components that I just mentioned. Otherwise, you'll always be, it's not me, it's them. Or you will always have the trauma. So all of those things I'm mentioning, they're kind of leading to each other. When you learn how to manage your state, it does not mean that you will not slip. Oh, absolutely. Like, do I slip? You bet it. Yeah. Like it just means, yeah, right. You sleep and think like, stuff that you said like, not resourceful. Now, it doesn't mean you are bad or you lost it or anything like that. The more unresourceful state that you are, like, depression and sadness and anger and all of those, then the less you'll be able to accomplish the thing you want, especially over time. State is the third one. And then goals. Goals work and are most effective when you are doing it from a healed point of view. Like that you've already done some healing, but goals are more effective when you've done some of the healing. You have a blank canvas, so your goals are starting from there as opposed to with all this. Let's imagine all of this is gank. You end up creating your goals from, a blank page.
I think that's a great metaphor. And just so you guys know, that's kind of one of his trademarks is he does a really good job of explaining things through story and metaphors.
Yeah, thank you. I did not even know I would do this. Like I have a notebook here. It will be useful for something.
But it's helpful.
And so
it's helpful
your goal
to have visuals, whether that's through a story or whether like you just actually had a visual. I think it really explains what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah, your goals.
Nice
and
job,
then
Noy.
Habits. Yeah, habits is the fifth thing. So radical responsibility, healing, which is removing negative emotions, limiting decisions through whatever way. I highly recommend that you go and look for someone if you're able to get like in touch with either myself or someone else because the mentorship / coaching type, it's just you get a more bespoke thing for you. When someone like it can dedicate their time to you, even if you went to the system to begin with, like, psychologist, psychiatrist, all of that will be a step up, especially if you haven't done that before. Right. And so remember everyone that allows you to have a better state and state management, that you are more in control because you will slip, right? Everyone does, and bringing yourself back to an optimal or a better state. That gives rise to better goals that are more aligned with what you want and coming from, a clean slate. And then habits is the fifth part. Like when all the others exist, then the habits, they flow naturally. I call it habit automation, like the stages of learning. Like, you become competent, but unconsciously. It's a bit like driving. Kirk, right? You know how to drive from your house to the supermarket. Unlike when you were like 16 or 17 or 18, when you first started driving, back then you came into the car and you're like, what do I do with this? Like, where's the pedal? Like, right? Now you don't have to do that. Luckily for most of us, you don't need 20, 30 years for that. That can happen relatively quick. Yeah. You get to this stage of unconscious competence that you are just driving, and yes, hopefully you pay attention to.
I got another example, kind of what he's trying to talk about is, I know I was going to a meeting and I'm driving down the highway. I'm just driving down the highway. I wasn't even paying attention where I was at. I'm like, oh, here's my exit. I wasn't unconscious. I was awake. Didn't even have the radio on, but I was just I don't know if you've ever had that where you're like in this mode. It's during the daylight. I wasn't tired, but it's just like, I kind of like snapped out of it. I was like, oh, this is my exit. I got 1 mile to my exit. And it was kind of crazy like that. Or I guess another example might be, how many people get up in the morning, first thing they do, they go brush their teeth.
Exactly.
You don't even think about it.
It's like existing programming. Yeah. Right. It's automatic. You've been doing that. Sad fact of the matter for most of us, and I've certainly been in the bucket before, like we run our negative habits on autopilot, like procrastination, overthinking, overanalyzing, like getting sad, getting distracted, talking down on ourselves. All of that noises, some of us have been so good at doing those because we've been doing it for years, right? And so when you align all the other beats, then the fifth one kind of happens kind of by itself, you could say, because then it's much easier to follow through on things. Because some people can come to me like, I'm not productive and not all of that. We deal with all of that stuff. Now they get the productiveness. Like it's almost like we need to deal with the other stuff that is like, we are not trying to smash it with like, oh, get an egg timer and that strategy. We're going straight to mindset, and that in turns gives you the result.
Right. Kind of like that. Who's that guy talked about making your bed every day? I think part of it too, and I don't know if I read the book, but it's been several years ago. I can't remember. But the point of the book, and it makes sense to me, is that you get a win. You wake up and it's a win. You get a mark in the win column. I got something done. I didn't procrastinate. I got it done. I think that's a really nice. Yeah, today was not the best day for me for whatever reason. It was. So I'm curious, what do you think about the cold plunge? Because that's what I've been doing lately.
Cold plunge, it has benefits to it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I have to give it to you like through a short story. Like I do cold showers where I do affirmations in the shower. I had this list of affirmations that I used to like stick. Yes, it has a picture of me. I've done it like laminated, and I used to stick it with blue tack in the inner door, like of the shower. So I basically can kind of read through it. Now I do parts of it, like, because I've done it for over 2 years. Like aside from 1 month that I went away.
Is that something we can share with our audience?
I'm happy to share it, although there's some stuff here that is only relevant for me.
But that's for you.
Yeah.
Maybe something that's generic, that's helpful. Just again, give people an idea of what you could do, but you would custom make that similar to how you as a client, you would develop that list of affirmations for them. So back to your cold shower. So tell me, I'm interested.
My coach at the time was like, okay, what is it? Like, cold showers, because, it's basically a mark of consistency. As a hypnotherapist herself, she knew how to talk my language. I did not need a lot of convincing. I worked for a health and fitness startup in the past, and that guy was telling me every day about cold showers and you should do it and that. And he had the muscle and all of that. Like, he's got a great business going for like a decade plus.
Are you still doing the cold showers?
I still do. But I was for a long time like, nah, good for you, but I'm not doing that because I did not make the connection. Now, but here's what I got. You need to make that connection. When my coach that gave me that, and I stuck with it since every day, aside from 30 days that I was in Europe and consciously stopped it and then resumed, right? Like for those 30 days. And so I put my hands up, like, all of those things, they symbolize something. They symbolize resilience. They symbolize like doing your bed.
Tenacity.
Symbolize a good start. Symbolize tenacity, yes. Symbolize discipline. It's what they symbolize that important, not the thing that you choose. A lot of people that are successful in business, they choose stuff like running marathons or bodybuilding or anything like that. Does that mean that everyone that listens to this needs to become a bodybuilder? No. Like, does that mean that everyone here needs to start running marathons? Does that mean everyone needs to do cold showers? That's my long answer to this. The answer is those things, choose something that you connect to, that you can like, okay, I can see how this develop a discipline, how this develop like a millionaire mindset, like how this build tenacity, how that helps me deal with challenges, and choose that. So whatever that thing that you choose or things doesn't matter as long as they symbolize what you want like to portray or have or be. Because here's the thing, the unconscious mind also act on symbols by doing the running, by doing the bodybuilding, by doing the cold plunges, by doing the cold showers, whether it's with affirmations or not.
I think it's to get used to discomfort, be comfortable with discomfort, because life's not fair. You're going to be in situations that you're not comfortable, and you still need to control how you react to it. You can't say, well, that person treated me poorly, so that's why I got angry and went off the handle. They didn't cause you to get angry. You allowed yourself to get angry. You let the ego out, and the ego went crazy. I'm sure somebody treating you poorly gave you discomfort. And I think doing things that cause you discomfort and learning how to control your emotions around it and not just jump back out of that cold water, but sit in it. I do 6-minute cold plunges. Right now I'm down to 50 degrees. I'm happy to say. Took me a while.
Yeah.
The cold showers helped. The cold showers helped. Yeah. I've done cold showers for over 2 years. And so there's something about, I like Andrew Huberman. Like, it's really strange. You go into a cold shower, and if you stick your face in, my wife thinks I'm crazy. She won't do it. Like, I just jump right in and I put my face in. The minute I put my face in that cold water, it's like somebody turned up the temperature, but I never touched the temperature. The temperature's still the same. It's really odd sensation. And it's the same way with the cold plunge. You go in the cold plunge, dunk your head in. I dunk my head in first thing. Sometimes I dunk it in more than once. And it's like, you dunk your head in for whatever reason. It's like somebody turned the heat up. I'm not talking significantly, but just a couple of degrees. A couple of degrees is a big change, especially like I started at 60 and I worked my way down to 50. And let me tell you, every couple of degrees, it's, you feel it. It's there.
Yes,
so that's kind of my thing. I don't know if that resonates with you at all with kind of.
Yeah, totally. Because the unconscious mind is basically operates on symbols and clear directions. So not just what we spoke about so far, how you talk to yourself, like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't want this, I don't want that. That's part of it. The other part, it acts on symbols. So by doing even one of those things, and it could be, there's a million and one other things you can Google ways to be disciplined, and or ask ChatGPT even, and you'll find gazillion of ways, like infinity of ways and variations for those ways too. By doing one of them, you send a signal to your unconscious mind that you can sustain the discomfort. You can sustain a period of like feeling like a hardship or something like that, right? You are programming yourself by doing that. And when you do that and build a habit from that, like, you do it whatever the habit is, whether it's running or cold plunges, then you grow into being that person over time. And so this is a great hack. Your psyche, your mind really listens to all of those little cues that you are giving it.
That's amazing. Yeah. Got a lot of good advice here. Yeah. We talked about the good habits on autopilot. Did we talk about why media professionals get burnout? Because media professionals is actually your focus, right? Because that's your background, is being a writer. And so you kind of can identify with the stress of the deadlines and even though I'm guessing you are more behind the scenes versus in front of a camera, but it's regardless of where your role is within media. Media is a pretty demanding, deadline orientated. Can we go as far to say that they're unrealistic, or if they're not unrealistic, they're very demanding deadlines, right?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Kirk. Media, like whether you're a writer, it doesn't have to be even a newsroom. Like I was writing for a sport company commercially, the unrealistic deadlines, working very hard. Now, it's not the only industry that like does it. You have bankers and you have many, many others and consultants.
It's just you have a background in it, so you can identify better.
And so that's my background. Now, bear in mind, I had other people that were other professions too, many like accountants and bankers and executives and also to that, right? But highly unrealistic a lot of time. People tend to say yes to a lot of things, which what happened to me. Saying yes to a lot of things will serve you large parts of your life to build a career, to build your name, to do that. So if you are just like, no, not doing it, no, not doing it, then you're not get very far. There is a certain time that when you program yourself to say yes to this, yes to that, yes to the other, then you will get bent out real quick. And then you'll be like, you start questioning why you are doing the things the way you do. And that's what happened to me. And this is very common across media and other industries. That's sadly where people turn to a lot of drinking and alcohol and drugs. Sadly, can name more than a few people that their mask outside where they're like this smiley, like all, happy, jolly person, like, right. And sadly, they committed suicide. I'm talking Robin Williams and people like that are really famous, like, I'm talking like the top of the top, right? Some of the people I coach will never be George Clooney, right? But it doesn't mean that skips them all the hardships of the industry. The best advice is not to let it get to that level. Not to let it get to when it gets that bad. Because then sometimes people, like we spoke before without being morbid, like, are too late.
Do you have any transformational stories that you could share? You shared one. I was curious if you maybe had another.
I had this lady I work with, and she's an actress and a model. She's young, she's got the looks, and her career was kind of pretty much a flat line. And she's from Florida, actually. She had an interesting life, and she has a heart condition at the age of early 30s, which is she wasn't born with. So it's relatively rare. One of the things that she shared with me is that, like, no, for half of my life, I ran from abusive boyfriends and men. Like, I even jumped out a window. I was like, oh my God, like, you jumped out of a window. Like, yeah, first floor, I only broke my wrist. I had to run because he was about to beat me up to my senses. I thought I'd be dying, like, if I don't run away. So it was like really harrowing story, like, and tell me how's things are now, because I understand that was at least 5 years ago, right? And she said, I'm doing all right in the summer, like, it's Florida. I'm getting, like, as a promo girl, I get all the, walks on yachts and all of that and stuff. But then other part of the year, even those are kind of sparingly, like, and I don't get the amount of money I deserve or want, and it's a bit rough. And yeah, I can get 500 here and 1,000 there, or 200 here. But yeah, it's not the life I want. And I want to be on set. I want to do bigger things rather than just being a promo girl. And I asked her about relationships, and she was like, I think I'm better alone after all that happened. It's fine. Nobody has to be with someone. Right? Nobody has to, just state it to everyone listening. But for her, it also came from all the trauma. She had less options open for her because of the trauma. And so we worked on releasing that. And one of the key starting thing that she said a lot, I'm a fighter. Like, I'm a fighter because I had to run away. And, in the industry that I work with, most of the photographers and people are men. And so I always need to kind of fend for myself and stuff. And I asked her this question, how is that working out for you? Which is quite like a boom in your face question. She was like, not very well. We figured out that I'm a fighter. It's like an identity. She thinks she's a fighter. The way she behaves and how she puts herself across and how she comes across.
She's a fighter.
I am gobsmacked. She trusted a man. Okay, you trust a man, but you don't trust any other man. Like say me. Like, so first of all, thank you. You could have done it with a woman. Like, and that could have worked too. Right? Like, I have many, many colleagues that I could have referred her if that was an issue that I'm a man. That's why you can work with Tony Robbins, but not everyone likes a Tony Robbins that is 6 foot tall and speak like the way he speaks, right? Some people like me or you or someone else, And so, like, no, I'm here for a reason. How is being a fighter working for you? It's like, what do you mean? She said, like, if I'm not a fighter, what am I, a pushover? And at that moment, I knew she did not get it yet, which is okay. I'm not expecting people to come like all sorted out. Like, otherwise they wouldn't, like, maybe I would not have a job. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of black and white thinking of, like, okay, introvert or extrovert, or I'm a fighter or I'm a pushover. Now, The answer
there was no in between for her.
Is somewhere in the gray area, which is the infinity in between the two spectrums, the two edges of the two sides of the coin.
Because she couldn't see that. For her, if she wasn't a fighter, she was a pushover.
Because for her, until that point, being a fighter was her life. That was reality. That was like she has two hands. I'm a fighter. It's like, what do you mean I'm not a fighter? I'm a fighter. When I explained to her about identity, that it's like a label that we prescribe to like ourselves, like because of life, because of experiences, because of
traumas,
upbringing, whatever, education, peers, doctors. And she knew what I'm talking about at that time because she had a heart condition. You don't know if you don't do any work on you. Like she's 32. What happened if you are 52? Like if you know, it's kind of in check, but what if it gets worse and you will no longer be on this earth? I'm not saying that doing this, like I guarantee her she'll be alive until 100. I cannot guarantee anything like that, right? I'm not playing God. But what I do say, what happened as a result when she got that I'm a fighter is a label and she created it, like not because she wanted, because that was life. Then it's almost like she got the metaphorical slap to the face that she needed. It was the awakening moment for her. So we went deeper into the healing. Like she's now able to be with a man. Now she has more options. She's been dating and she's been having like, good time. She's gone into some like, local TV programs and done something that is on Netflix and all of that. She still does the promo stuff and goes to the gym and takes good care of herself. Now she has all of those doors open for her relationship wise, romantically with men and in the media world as an actress. If you are suffering with all this baggage at the age of 32 or 62, it does not have to look like that. And so that is a great turnaround. She's still young. So what you'll do in 10 years, the sky's the limit, but, I'm super proud of her.
That's quite exciting. What a turnaround because of a label.
Just because of one label, one word,
traumas.
One word.
Some traumas that she's had. Because I think the label is probably accurate in the sense of that's why I survived, but it didn't have to be black or white or binary. If I'm not a fighter, I'm a pushover. I'm going to have somebody take advantage of me. And that's what you're able to help her with.
Exactly.
That's quite
because otherwise there's this wall. Everyone listening to this, you can resonate. It was like, I know why I would behave like I'm putting a fence, like a wall. But then does that wall really serve me in auditions? Like, does that wall really serve me? Like when I'm with a guy,
so it was impacting your career by having this label, one word label,
which is just, let's call it expired. It's like milk, just not with a date. Like, right. At some point an identity expire and it's just like, it's not that it's not relevant. It just doesn't serve you that much anymore.
If somebody would be interested in working with you, do they like interview you for 10 or 15 minutes or do they have to pay for a initial session to get an idea? Like how does it work?
What I do with people is I do a free 5-day challenge. I do it either one-on-one or I do them in groups, a couple of times a year I do them in groups, but mostly one-on-one. So if someone wants let's say the comfort of like only them there, we can do that. And either of them, the group and the one-on-one, they're free of charge. And that gives them a taster in those 5 days. On the first day, I learn more about them and the situation. And then I do a little assessment with them on the second day through a system that I developed. And then that gives like a score, like a guide, that gives basically like where they are sort of thing, like the GPS coordinates of where they are. And then on the third and the fourth and the fifth day, we go into the meat and bones, like the real work, producing them some kind of result. Now that could be clarity. That could be, feeling better about themselves. That could be a sense of direction. That could be, I don't know how to respond to my mother-in-law. Like it could be a multitude of stuff, right? The best way is that they come and chat to me either on Instagram or on Facebook. And then I'll be able to tell them like, yes, this is something I can help you with. Otherwise, I can always refer you to someone else or guide you in that. I'd like to believe that I'm around a lot. I do sleep at times as well, believe it or not. But yeah, I get back to people quickly. Look, the result will be different for everyone. Some people wanted it because they were stuck in the business. I had another result. An example was a guy, for whatever reason, he hit a snag and he did not make any sales for half a year. And he's someone that did a lot of money before. We did that work again on the mindset. Like I wasn't going like, oh, where do you advertise? Like, how do you write your copy? Didn't get to any of that. Through the 5 days, which were free, he signed $2,000 clients, which is not, well, for some people here, it will not be a lot if you're in business of like millions, but
if you had a 6-month dry spell, it was a big deal.
6 months dry spell and suddenly boom, to like 4K retainers, like from 2K, like that's a big deal for someone that had a dry spell and is doing private consulting.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I also have once with a lady from the Midwest sleep better. She had some traumatic event a couple of months before and she tried the chamomile tea, the pills, all of that. And so that was quite a different thing to help people. But what I'm saying is anything that would be like a habit thing or a mindset or something that like, like you're not quite firing on cylinders of what I want, good chance that I can help you with.
To reach your peak performance, whatever that
to reach what is your peak performance, right? So
right.
Chat with me on Facebook or on Instagram. That doesn't cost. And even the challenge doesn't cost. And then, yeah, I can help you. This is how it works. We set the times, or if it's a group one, I tell you when the next one is. And then that way you can decide by the end of that, whether you want to do further work with me or not, whether that's for you, or you can take what you got and implement it by yourself.
Well, that sounds an amazing opportunity for people. That's quite generous.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll have the links there to your Instagram and your Facebook. Obviously, we're going to put this on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. The audio is going to go out onto my Spotify, which goes out to a number of different channels there as well. So if you guys feel stuck or have some sort of a roadblock, feel that you have some sort of limiting belief. I don't know if people know that they have a limiting belief. I don't think that may not be something they're conscious of. I think the bigger thing that they'd be conscious of,
sometimes
it's more of they just feel stuck or they're hitting burnout or whatever it is. And you're trying to work through that being stuck. Noy is a person that can definitely help you through that. He shared a few stories, transformational stories are just amazing. I just think you really ought, and here you got a chance to work with him for 5 days. You can find out, he's very open. This is I appreciate what you're doing but you feel like maybe this is something that can help. He says he's got colleagues that he can refer you to that they may be able to help you. And because I think it is important that there is a connection, right?
I will not be for everyone. Like Tony Robbins is not for everyone, even though he has a lot of fans. Everyone that has fans have haters too. Or people that we not vibe with, right? And that's just a normal.
I had a hater the other day on my YouTube channel. I was really excited.
Yeah, you loved it, right? Like, yeah.
Hey, keep it coming. I go, feel free to share more critiques.
Yes, amazing.
Well, I actually replied, I have a hater.
Every time they put like that stuff, it increases. Like you're giving more comments, so it bumps me on the algorithm. So go ahead.
I was doing the Miami International Fitness Expo, and it was super loud in there. Like, why in the world would you do that? It's like, I didn't know what it was. I have a client that said, hey, why don't you come down and we'll share a booth? And I'm like, hey, why not?
Yeah.
And so I did it. And the audio guy from one of the events there, the Iron Grid, he came over and he's like, hey, man, we're going to be really loud. Just to let you know, do you want me to angle my speakers one way or the other or something? I go, we're here. It is what it is. We'll put the headphones on. We'll just make it work. And we did. And I'm so proud of all the work that we did and all the people we met. To me, it made it more interesting. It was real. I mean, I think that's a lot what's missing in 2025 is that authentic connection that people make. And I really feel like we made a connection here, Noy. And I'm so happy you took the time out to meet with me today. And I know we went over from what we agreed to. I apologize about that. We went over like 40 minutes, but
I've had a blast though. Yeah,
I think we had a lot of good content. So thank you so much. And we'll have all your links all over. I hope this reaches some people that need some help and that you're able to help them.
Time flew by, as to say.
All right. Well, thanks again.